Hello everybody, my name is Prince Adu-Appiah and I'm speaking to you live from Ghana, West Africa. And I must say I'm very glad to join you people having the Forum Africa event in Brazil. And I want to say a very big thank you for having me. Thank you to Ernesto and his team for this wonderful event. And I am supposed to be to talk about the topic project in Africa. Looking at the challenges and the opportunities, and I am working on this beautiful, interesting African project called 1 Billion Africa. And so I'll be sharing with you more about this project and what we do and the hows and the whats and every other thing. So I look forward to a very interesting presentation. This is an initiative that came out as a result of passion and as a result of deep thought about the African continent, the fact that we have lots of resources in Africa, talk about natural, human, capital, lots of resources, but Africa is classified as, if not the poorest continent, one of the poorest continents, and this has left much to be desired of the African continent. And so 1 Billion Africa came up as a result of this deep thought. And so it is an African initiative that seeks to help turn the 1 billion problems or plenty problems on the African continent into projects and social actions. You know, we want to move or shift from the level of Africans just talking about problems of the continent and just basing or leaving it there. We want to take it to a next level where you identify a need on the African continent, be it your home, your community, your society, your nation, wherever on the African continent, and then we urge you to make it your personal project. And that is where we come in. And so we actually bridge the gap between problems and solutions. We try to help individuals, especially the young people of the continent, to identify problems wherever they are. And then once they post it on our website, we have it in our database and we help them within some period of time, depending on the kind of project, to turn that project into to turn that problem, into a project or a social action. And we believe Africa needs this. We have classified our main objectives under 4 categories, and one would have to do with the fact that we are into projects. Projects is a big thing, so let's limit it. We are into social projects on the African continent. And we are into projects in educational field, youth development, leadership development, science and technology, social entrepreneurship, agriculture, and then environmental and sanitation. And so we have a very interesting website, beautiful website, where wherever you are in the world, if you're an African, you've identified a problem, we urge you to go to our website www.1billionafrica.org, where you get to see a menu called Report Problem. So you can report any problem in these fields I just mentioned, and then we have it in our database and we help you turn it into a social project. So that is one of the objectives. The next, which is very key to the executives or the vision of 1 Billion Africa, is the fact that we seek to build responsible youth for the African continent. The youth that will not sit down and wait for their political leaders or leaders of their community, society, home, wherever, to take up responsibilities. Youth that would say that, look, we can also solve problems. Youth that will identify problems and then do something about it. So by going through this process, we want to build responsible youth for the African continent. And we believe that if the youth get involved in this project, they build themselves, they go through the personal development exercise, and through the part between the problem and the project, and the part between realizing that the project is a very interesting part that teaches the youth a lot. And this is one thing Africa needs: responsible youth. The other things we do include the fact that we embark on strategic partnerships for development on the African continent. So we liaise with other civil society organizations, other NGOs, other governments. I mean, we embark, we join hands with them to embark on projects, developmental projects on the African continent in communities. And so wherever you are, if you have an interesting project you want to embark on the African continent, you want to involve us, you can get through to us, and would go into an interesting partnership, all for the development of the African continent and for true transformation. The next thing that we are into is that we try to promote change makers on the African continent, especially the youth of the continent that are causing changes in their homes, communities, wherever they are. We try to give them the platform, to get them exposed, to train them, you know, to give them the opportunities available, and then we try to inspire other people to get involved in problem solving on the African continent. Last but not least is the fact that we are into awards and then certifications for people that are able to go through the problem solving procedure with 1 Billion Africa successfully. And I tell you what, before long, a youth would sit under a panel, an interview panel, and then the people are going to ask, do you have 1 Billion Africa certification? Yes, because it's going to prove the fact that young people are involved in problem solving on the continent. So these are some of the things we do. One Billion Africa is actually a startup that is doing so well with a very promising future, and we have lots of people that wants to be on board the project. We embarking on lots of organizations as well. And so talking about leadership, our leadership influence, we believe in 1 Billion Africa that if change or transformation has to start, it has to start with a person, an individual. And so we understood the fact that transformation had to start with us before we can give it out. And so the 1 Billion Africa team is an amazing team that has been influenced greatly by the vision of 1 Billion Africa, the fact that we have to be problem solvers. And so you should come and see the team at the meeting, or the team embarking on the project. We are crazy young people that are poised for action and for transformation on the African continent. We would do everything we can to help an individual take a problem from a problem level to a project level and to the realization state. And so we have been able to influence the 1 Billion Africa team. And then next, we have interesting online platforms. We have Facebook, we have Twitter, and we have an interesting number of followership. These are people that contribute to our discussions on these social media, and these are people that we believe we are impacting directly. And last but not least, it's the people that we happen to be solving problems with. I believe that the transformation of Africa would load very fast if the young people get themselves involved in social projects and social actions on the African continent. This is because it is an interesting thing, and if you look at the the few past years, people that have gotten into social projects have found themselves at worthy positions, and this is because they have built themselves and they have solved problems as well. And so I would urge the youth of the African continent especially to get involved in social problems and social projects. And you know what, the fact that Africa is tagged as a developing continent is exciting to me. Ask me why. This is because I think it is a tagline that carries some form of light. It tells you that Africa is not choked, and if you really want to find yourself doing something, you get something doing. Unlike maybe other countries or other continents. Sorry, and so this is the time. The fact that Africa is tagged as a developing continent and nations are tagged as developing nations in Africa is what attests to the fact that it is time for the youth of the continent to get involved in the things of the continent. And so let me move ahead to the merit that social projects bring, especially to the African continent. And I may have mentioned this earlier on, but I think that it has lots of merit, but I'll base on just two advantages, two merits. And one has to do with the fact that people identify needs in society and then they get to solve those needs. That is also all that social project is about. The fact that you identify a need in a community, a society, a region, and then you take it a step further, you solve it. And that is the vision of 1 billion Africa. Africa currently has a population of slightly over 1.1 billion people. And in a wild imagination, just imagine one person in his lifetime currently solves a problem. It means that we can get to solve the billion problems on the African continent, and the next generation will have a transformed Africa to live on. And that is all that we are talking about, for people to get involved in projects and social actions. And so that is one advantage of a social project. It gets to solve a need in society on the African continent. The next is the fact that it builds responsible individuals, responsible people that are able to transform a problem into a project, into the realization of the project, and lots of people benefit from this, including the person himself or herself. And so I believe that one major advantage of a social project is the fact that it builds young leaders. It builds leaders. It builds leadership in them, whether they fail through the project or not, because that is who a leader is. You lead when things are difficult. And so I'll be moving on to the challenges of getting involved in social projects. But before that, I'd like to talk about areas in which young people can get involved in social projects. And one has to do with, well, let me start with the fact that you can embark on it personally. You can do it personally, or you can join a civil society organization. You can actually join a government institution. You can join a field in academia to get involved in a social project. You can join lots of things, you know, and through volunteerism, through associations, you can build some experience in social projects. And I would urge the business people and companies that interview young people to inspire them to embark on social projects, so that before you come to work in my company, you have an experience of turning a problem into a project already. And that is one interesting thing that we are talking about. And so these are some of the areas you can get involved in social projects. And so 1 billion Africa is available for anyone that wants to embark on social projects and by turning problems into projects. So I want to talk next about opportunities available that makes social projects interesting on the African continent. Because of time, I'll just talk about two opportunities that is available, and one is knowledge or information. I believe that if the older generation are patriots that have transformed the African continent some way, somehow, in their capacity, if they had access to the availability of information that we have in our age, they would have done better. I believe this very well. And so I would entreat the young people of the generation to take advantage of this. Because if you want to embark on a social project, there's nothing new under the sun. All you have to do is Google, and then you can get hopefully a similar project embarked on somewhere in Asia, somewhere in Europe, somewhere in the Americas, and then or Australia, and then you can see the reports that the report they have put online, and then transfer experience, get to know more about it. And the fact that you can read more about and research more about your social project easily is a good thing. And this is one thing that should entreat young people to embark on social projects on the African continent. And the next has to do with technology. there is technological advantage in this age, and this media has helped 1 billion Africa a lot. The fact that we get to have a powerful website, the fact that we get to have powerful web tools to support our projects, to do lots of things, to put reports online, to have social media publicity, lots of things. And so technology is an interesting opportunity that young people have to leverage to help them embark on social projects successfully. And so the next thing that I will talk about is the challenges, and I'll be very quick with this because of our time. You know, one challenge that someone who is embarking on a social project is bound to face, one is team. It's not easy to get a very committed team to work with you. 1 billion Africa, by God's grace, we have been fortunate with an amazing team that works their heart out to get problems solved. And so if you want to embark on a social project, it wouldn't be easy. Just find the right team and then you get yourself going. The next that I can talk about is the popular one people always ask us, that is the funding or the support. But I think this is not the primary point to look at. The secondary, maybe the tertiary, you know, the third point to look at, because I believe before you embark on a social project, you need a passion first. The second is the documentation, the plan, the strategies. And then when you give yourself a reasonable amount of time, you can be able to get funding. You can be able to get to that stage. And trust me, there are lots of people out there who want to support projects. A lot of people embark on social projects not in full time. And so the next challenge will have to be time constraint. The fact that you have to mix this with whatever you are doing. If you are doing it full time, that is great. But if you are not, it's not going to be easy, you know, managing this with whatever else you're doing part time. And the last thing will have to do with demotivation. It's not going to, you're not always going to feel like solving problems. There are going to be times where that's the last thing you want to think about. But in such a state, know that that time too will pass away. And so it is very important to understand these challenges: time constraint, team strength, funding and support, and then demotivation. You have to know how to manage these things. Finally, I want to tell you the social project as one interesting media to use to transform Africa in your own small way. Embark on a social need, identify a need and transfer it into a solution, and then you get yourself interesting results. And this is what Africa needs. Thank you so much. God bless you and God bless Africa.